Are not sure what to say about this game, Dev. Obviously, massive win, massive win. What a response to the Monaco loss. That's the first thing we have to say. But some mixed feelings, to be completely honest with you. Not just with the performance, but also obviously the injury to Ter Stegen, which we will talk about a bit more in depth as we go. But overall, you can't help but feel happy overall with the win because this was a game that not that we expected to lose, but we thought, okay, this could be the game where our streak actually ends, right? If someone's going to do it in this first 5, 6, 7 opening games, it's going to be Villarreal, right? Because they have the form, the quality, they do have the personnel, they have a great coach who knows how to do these things, right? But here we are. Flick's machinery still keeps on rolling with scoring 4 or 5 goals every single game, which is insane. But yeah, what are your first thoughts, Dev, of this game?
I think we were talking to Dan yesterday or 2 days back about the Monaco game, and what we were
Hmm.
talking about is how does the team respond after a loss. And that's the best one of the best examples of what a team should do to respond after a loss. Uh, Insane result given the situation, the context of where we are, the number of players missing, the situation, the overall state FC Barcelona is in, and then obviously that terrible injury in the middle of the game that really you know kind of took the momentum out, but the team never stopped. And they kept on pressing and kept on believing. And who would have thought that this Barcelona has outscored, in the first 6 games, even the MSN. I mean, when we had that kind of a front lineup, they didn't score 21 goals like this in the first 6 games.
Hmm.
So that's insane what Flick has been able to do and what Barcelona is consistently churning out with this team,
Hmm.
with the kind of players that we have right now. We obviously, you know, it's insane what the result is,
Hmm.
and it's complex because I felt bad for almost Marcelino at the end because he looked like a man completely, like absolutely devastated. He had the plan. He absolutely had the plan, and truth be told, for majority of the large parts of the first half, I mean, it looked like Villarreal could score any
Hmm.
time at all,
Hmm.
right? And if the goal from Pablo Torre does not happen at that moment, I think that really changed the momentum. And
Hmm.
Barry's first, like the goal from Barry, if it had stood and was not an offside, I mean, anything could have happened, to be entirely
Yeah.
honest. But the fact is that the team went on. I think Flick's subs were like, on spot. Bringing in Casado and Kubarsi steadied the defense from the madness that this was for
Yeah.
90 minutes. This was an endless game, like never ending.
It was. It
Crazy,
was.
absolutely.
What I felt? I felt like we lose this game last season. If
Yeah,
this game happens, in 2023, 24, we probably lose it, right? Because that team, even though if you look at the players, it's not that different this season. The players are almost the same, right? Almost the same. We just have a couple more kids in this team. But that team of the previous season, that it just didn't have that belief. I myself as an analyst, as someone who wants to look at things objectively and through cold hard analytics and all that stuff, I'm trying to refrain myself from saying, okay, this team wanted the win more, so they got the win more, because I don't want to be saying that. But I feel like this Barca is mentally much different than Barca from last season. The personnel is the same. Obviously, the tactics are also different, and the new coach Boom is also there still. But I feel like this Barca just has it in them to actually get the result they need. And they will graft and they will keep going. They are actually relentless, right? They will keep going until they get what they need to get. And that is Flick's doing, because this team did not have that before Flick's arrival. They did not have it. Now they have it. And it's quite clear. And again, even if we were shaky, and we were shaky in this game, and we were shaky defensively, defensively in this game, and against Monaco, obviously, and in many games before that, Valencia, Athletic Club, we were shaky defensively. Those blips happen, spaces open up, we get exploited. Sometimes we concede, sometimes we don't, through individual defending, or maybe through some luck as well. However, this team still has it in them to get the result they need to get, and I admire that, because even in this game where you felt like both teams could score, you also felt, okay, a Barca goal is coming as well. And I keep saying that. I've said this on probably every single post-game stream that we've done, but you can feel the goal coming. It's just the inevitability of this Barca that I love. And I love that about Flick. I love how he's made this team feel that way. It's insane. But yeah, let's go a bit more in depth into it. Let's see if there's any questions that people want us to answer. We can start there, I guess.
Before that, Nazmul, I think Nazmul, you're saying do this somewhere else. Twitter is terrible with live broadcast. YouTube or Twitch, it's live right now on YouTube and Twitch. So if you don't want to watch it here and go somewhere else and
Yeah,
watch,
it's everywhere basically. Yeah,
it's literally everywhere right now. So
Mhm.
you are feel free to choose the platform on which you want to watch it. It's live on every platform.
Mhm.
All right,
Mhm.
Shubham, hello. I want your opinion on people who wanted Ter Stegen out now that he's injured. Who is happy with Iñaki? My opinion, Ter Stegen was the backbone of the team. What about you? Well, it's a tough one. Did Ter Stegen make a mistake in Monaco? Yes, he did. And has he made a few of those high-profile mistakes in Champions League games? Yes, he has. That doesn't mean that we want him injured. And his injury is in its own place, and that's terrible. And hopefully, it's nothing very serious. But looks like his season is over. We will only get to know when we get to know when more details come out. Now. Given he's not there and Iñaki Peña, is that the best option? No. We saw it last season when Iñaki Peña was playing, and it was difficult, and we lost a lot of games. And only when Ter Stegen came back did our kind of like we stabilized a little bit. So yeah, that problem is going to be probably there this year as well. So is that a good thing? No, it isn't. Will we possibly go for a goalkeeper in the winter transfer window, or even now? Because if he's really out for a long time, I think the rules allow us to go and get somebody. So I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully, like we'll get to know in the days to come. But that one thing, it's not correlation is not causation. I mean, Ter Stegen's mistakes are Ter Stegen's mistake. Nobody wants him injured because a player makes a mistake. People want to play, right? And he would have been far more happier if he was playing. It was a terrible injury that it looks like. What he
Yeah,
was.
it comes out of the blue as well. It's just a weird landing. I felt like that was all that took for his. I'm not sure if it's the knee or something. It looks like similar to what that's the same leg, the same knee that was injured last time, right? I think it was at least. And we know that the last injury actually caused a big downfall in this form last time around. And that's around the time that we did our analysis on him as well on the blog. And a big part of his flaws or struggles has been that injury, because ever since the he had surgery, right? Ever since that surgery, I think that it was his weakness on that foot was apparent, right? The way that he would leap from that foot, the way that he would transfer weight to that foot, all of that was different ever since that injury. So I feel like if it's the same leg, it's even worse, because now we have a recurring thing. Now we have something, an old injury appearing again, and I just think this will be a long-term thing. And we talked about this with Dan as well, guys. So you go and check this out on YouTube. We have a whole video with Dan with the Barcelona podcast. We talked about this. Ter Stegen might be shaky in some instances. He obviously is. On the ball and off the ball, he has his flaws, but goalkeepers do tend to make those mistakes over a longer period. So within 90 minutes, one mistake is enough for a goalkeeper to be branded as a scapegoat, as someone who's at fault of everything. So that's what happens. And if you watch a lot of goalkeepers across multiple teams, you will see that there are not many goalkeepers who are flawless in their execution. So that's also something to keep in mind. Now, with Iñaki Peña coming in, I think we'll see that Ter Stegen, as shaky as he was, and obviously he is, he's still an improvement on Iñaki Peña. I think unless Iñaki Peña just explodes completely, because if you remember back
I
when
doubt.
yeah,
I doubt he will explode. He's
seriously.
not the kind of player, right? Even
Yeah.
today, like before Ter Stegen went out, I think he saved
Yeah.
definite 3 goals, definite, right, for
Mhm.
sure. So yeah, he's got that skill set for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean, now that he won't be there, we will miss that, especially in
Mhm.
La Liga. We're going to miss that massively. That said, does it mean that Ter Stegen does not have his issues? No, he does.
Yeah, of
And
course it
that's the
is.
reality. Both are equally true. Like he's an
Yeah.
amazing goalkeeper for his skill sets, and on certain days he'll absolutely save you. Like Xavi's league win, that doesn't happen without Ter Stegen. It's as simple as
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
simple as that. Like we can say whatever we want, but that was a season when Ter Stegen overperformed by I think 10x, and we won the league, right? So yeah, we're gonna miss that insanely,
We will.
absolutely. And there is, I mean, there are no like goalkeepers out there that you can just pick up on the market and they will be like as good as him in some of these circumstances. So yeah, we are
Yeah.
talking about Alex Valley or whoever, sure, and so on. So we'll see what happens. But this is going to affect us for the rest of the season to a
We
large
will.
extent. Also, it doesn't mean that he wouldn't have made more mistakes in other games like we saw with Monaco. It just
Hmm.
comes with the player, right? So
Yeah.
you just have to take the good with the bad on this, and just hope that something happens, and hopefully we get to sign somebody. I don't even know whether we have the money or not, but if we do, we get to sign somebody, and hopefully there's a there's a goalkeeper out there. Somebody
We'll
said the
see.
Braithwaite rule. Yes, hopefully it's not a signing like Braithwaite. A better, a goalkeeper comes through. So we don't
We'll
know. We'll
see.
see. Uh,
I mean, he's very frustrating, Ter Stegen, because even in your thread today, Dev, I'm not sure, guys, if you've seen it, but go check it out. We did post a match review of the Monaco game and a full thread on the Barca football account. You could see in the shots taken from Monaco, Ter Stegen actually saved all the high XG
yeah,
chances.
he
So
did.
he saved some massive opportunities for Monaco. So he stopped those, but then he concedes like the silliest goals, like the goals that he should not be conceding. That's the thing with him. He will make big saves and then he will concede a goal that every goalkeeper should have, but a goalkeeper of his caliber should be saving any time of the day, right? So that's the thing with him. Just wanted to add that. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword with Ter Stegen, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the toxicity about the fan base. See, guys, I mean, fan bases are fan bases. Like it's not that Barca fan base is extra toxic or something like that. I think we have seen fans impatient with their teams when teams don't perform or they lose or what have you. That happens. Nobody wishes, that Ter Stegen is,
Of
injured
course
and
not.
out for the season.
Mhm.
Nobody does that, right? And it will be a massive, massive win. But enough about Ter Stegen. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
Somebody talked about Pablo Torre. Let's talk about Pablo Torre actually, because I think it was his goal which actually swung the momentum. It wasn't expected, and he was making a ton of mistakes also. But that said, I think he played pretty well for the circumstances that were there, and for just being that point in that midfield to circulate the position or find those runners or slip in that extra ball. I think he put in a solid shift out there. And yes, there are mistakes in this open game where like people were running for 90 minutes up and down. Yes, mistakes can happen. But I think overall, I think that was a good performance by Pablo Torre. That said, I also don't think that is the kind of performance that will make him a regular in this Hansi Flick team, don't?
No, I would absolutely agree. I mean, it's tough to criticize a player who made a big assist and scored a crucial goal to swing the game back in our favor. I don't want to be overly negative about him, but the truth is, I still feel like he's a squad depth player more than a starter. Just lacks the athleticism, lacks the understanding when to slow down at times. That's a big thing with him, but it's just physically as well. For that number 10 role, yes, he has a final pass. He can slip that ball, into the forwards. He can do that. But most of our midfielders would be able to do that in that open space between the lines. I mean, Pedri can do it, and Casado can certainly do it. Olmo can do it, and I wouldn't take Torre ahead of any of those players. Even Rafinha as a number 10 gives you something that Torre cannot give you, and probably Flick would rather have Rafinha there than Torre as well. I think the selection tells you as much in the first 7 or 8 games that we've seen of Flick's Barcelona. So as much as he has talent, he has obvious technical qualities. The physical side is still very much lacking in his. And just the power side. We keep saying that the power side is the thing that defines Barca midfielders, especially. But in Pablo Torres' case, it is the power side because you have to know how to kill the momentum. Because you said it, that goal switched kind of
The
turn the
moment.
favors back. Yeah, the momentum. But I think it actually happened even before the goal, because Barca knew, okay, Villarreal had the momentum. Now it's our time. We either play their own game and we try and keep up with that pace, or we actually take the ball, calm down, be a bit more stable on the ball, and just try and relax and cool down the affairs. And once we sucked out the life of their momentum, then we had control once more. So I felt like that was crucial. And then the goal immediately comes, and now we're firmly back in control. That's how you actually that's how you alter the game state to your favor again. That's how you make it more optimal to your own style of play. And it's the same thing with when you go a man down, which we will discuss this week as well on the channel. So stay tuned for that. You always have to create the most stable, most optimal game state to your circumstances, to your profiles, to your style of play. And that's what Barca did. Because in our preview dev, we talked about the trap of actually trying to play Villarreal's game and trying to thrive in that chaos that they thrive in as well. And okay, yes, maybe we do have the players like Lamine, Rafinha, who can keep up with Villarreal, but at the same time, we are at our best when the game suits us, when the game state is actually tailored to our way of playing, to our strengths, to our profiles. And I feel like that's exactly what we did tonight. At that point in the second half, when things were looking very shaky, very, very rough for us, Villarreal had all the momentum, all the power, but we took it from them. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, like, football is this game of inches, right? 1 inch here or there, and it would have been completely a different game altogether. Because at that moment, like Dom is saying, and you guys all watched it, like the momentum was with them. Every attack that Villarreal was doing, I was like, okay, this is going to be a goal, right? So, but the fact that that didn't happen, and then the momentum swung back, and then the substitutions came in, and then there was a semblance of control. And then by the end of it, I think by the time they got the fourth goal, I think they had just lost their head completely. Villarreal completely imploded mentally. The anger, the frustration that came out in the kicks to Lamine at the end. Generally, I've not seen Villarreal do that. Yes, Getafe. Yes, there are other teams who do that, but not generally Villarreal. But it was just a frustration, and you could see it on Marcelino's face. Like, they could not believe it that they were 5-1 down at their home stadium with this Barca, with half this full first team missing, right? They just could not accept that, and that affected them. Somebody said up there that we didn't really play well, but we created so many chances that we just scored. There's a bit of truth to that. Yes, was our game absolutely pristine? No, it wasn't. But at the same time, there was something in which we could constantly create those opportunities easier, because Marcelino's teams always come to play football. They're not blocking, and they're not parking the bus with 9 people behind the ball in the zone of 13. So they're not doing that. So it's easy to play that way. But overall, I mean, and Dom, you were talking about it, like that if we play to their game, we're going to struggle. And we did play to their game and we struggled. It's another thing that we came up on the positive side. Last season, it was 5-3 to them. It was equally chaotic, equally, but the only difference, like Tom said, difference between Xavi's team and this team is that Flick creates more opportunities through the players that he has in the way the team is playing. Xavi's game plan was a little bit different, but it was equally a completely, chaotic affair every time we go to La Ceramica. And that's about 3 games and 20 goals. Like, that's crazy. It's just insane. So there is something in that, and I think what is good is the kind of confidence the players are going to take away from this, right? As we head in, and there will be a bunch of other games coming through, and we cannot wait for the injured players to come back in, and I don't know what's going to happen on the goalkeeping situation and so on and so forth. So lots to check.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my kind of prediction would be it's a very easy one, so-called easy one is we will get a new goalkeeper, right? Or at least we'll try in January. I'm not sure how the emergency signing works, because they have changed the rule, if I'm not wrong. Something has changed about that rule, so it's not as straightforward as it used to be, or something is different. But I think Barca will try and get someone. Now, Iñaki Peña, can he actually be trusted for the whole season? I don't think so. Based on what we have seen last time around, no, because back then, okay, yes, we had a very shaky team overall. We had a very leaky defense overall. So that kind of doesn't help a goalkeeper. When he has a poor defense ahead of him, of course, he's going to, it's just what happens generally in football. But then he was also conceding like 2 goals per game or
Yeah.
something very ridiculous like that. So every shot on target was a real threat, and you can't have that as a Barca team because just you want to be competitive. And we have seen now the first opening 6 games that we are extremely competitive in La Liga. We can beat any team in La Liga. It's just that our squad is so thin that's the main issue. So we'll see what happens. A lot of you are saying Keylor Navas. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, there's
I
Keylor
don't
Navas,
know.
there's De Gea, there's Szczęsny, there's Alex Philipp. So I mean, there's a bunch. So let's talk about goalkeeper because I think everybody's excited about talking about goalkeepers.
Um,
Keylor Navas, will that run? Will that fly with the Barca faithful?
I
I
think
don't know.
that's not going to happen. I don't think, at least it will. I don't think there's any bad blood with him in particular,
No,
but
but it's just
it's just
the
yeah,
association with Madrid that will possibly
yeah. Um,
deter people like Laporta.
Yeah, I think obviously if people saying Vias, yeah, obviously yes. But then he will be free next season, right? So his contract runs out. He's out of favor at his current club, but he does want a transfer, but he wants Betis. From what I've seen, all the reports say the same thing. He just wants Betis. So it's that. I mean, was if
Emi
Barca comes
Martinez is
knock,
not coming. We don't
no,
have the
I mean,
money to bring Emi Martinez. Impossible.
it's the thing is with him. Obviously, we love him to bits because of all of he's done for Messi and all that stuff. That's absolutely true. But if you are a fan of his club, so not Emi Martinez, the international player, but the club player, you will see that all the
He's not
fans
that
are saying the
amazing for
same.
Aston Villa.
e-
He's amazing
Exactly,
for
E-
Argentina for his
exactly. What I
performances.
was
But if
trying
you
to
see his
say.
club games day in
Yeah.
day out, there are better keepers out there.
Yeah, so he does bring in that mentality thing. Yes, he is very, how
He's
do
in
you
your face.
combative? He's in your face. He's very much in your face all the time, and he's fearless, and he wants to win, obviously, and he does put the team on his shoulder, kind of a cultural push and all that stuff. That's very much true. But as a goalkeeper, I don't think now his fans are very much the fans of his club are very much frustrated with his performances on a consistent basis. So he's not really a big consistent player. And I feel like if we are having trouble watching Ter Stegen week in, week out, I don't think that it will be any different. It will probably be worse, to be honest with you, with Emi Martinez, because Ter Stegen at least fits the whole ethos of the club, and he kind of fits as the profile. And more often than not, he is the goalkeeper that suits us. But then obviously he has his moments, but every goalkeeper does. Now, Emi Martinez is not exactly the face of consistency. I wouldn't say that.
No, but that's okay. It's we won't know, but I do think they're going to sign somebody. I genuinely do think that they're going to try at least. I don't know what the rules are like, whether they're allowed to or not, or what have you, because La Liga rules are complex. But if there's possibility and there's money, I don't know. I think they'll try to sign somebody. I think after last season, trusting Iñaki Peña till December or even beyond that looks difficult to me. Right, I may be wrong, or they might come up with Ander Ostrolaga or somebody from the academy that we don't know about. But I do think this will. I think they're going to try and sign someone. I don't know who that is, or won't be like right to conjecture on that. There are a lot of free ones, as many of you have already pointed out. But I think, yeah, that's going to happen, and that'll be an interesting move because that will have an impact on the season. Because looks like if he's got a surgery of the tendon in his patella, then yes, that's it. That's a year that he's
That's
out.
no, yeah, he's not coming back this season.
He's
No,
not
no
coming
way.
back this
No.
season. He's probably coming back next season, and that too slowly. So that's just we got to think about long term. A good goalkeeper. We can't have a backup goalkeeper for a whole year. So yeah, that's going to. I think that's something's going to happen about that. But it'll be interesting to see who Barca kind of bring in and so on and so forth. Now let's look about some of the other stuff that we are talking about. And here it is. Do you think Barca's defense is bad? Barca's player situation is bad. This is Hansi Flick's way of playing, right? And if you look at Bayern, it wasn't any different, but he had the right players for that. Right now, we don't. So we are one Inigo and one Kubarsi away from complete capitulation. But even if you look into it today, Flick's trying. Like today, he tried Sergi Dominguez. Today, he tried Gerard Martin. Were they awesome? No. But for 19-year-old kids who just come from the B team, what else do you expect? You can't expect more than that, right? That's number one. And then I think hopefully by the time, hopefully, right, if we get Araujo back, if we can get Gavi back, that defense is going to look very, very different in the way it plays compared to what it's looking right now. The problem will continue as long as we have key player missing, but that will be the case with every team. If they have key defenders missing, things will look shaky. Nobody has elite players on the bench all the time, and we definitely don't with our salary and financial situation. So yes, it is flimsy and thin and probably not the best defensive line in the world. But that is the situation that we find ourselves in. And we just have to pray that these two kids, like Inigo continues as he is, and he has been amazing. And Kubarsi does not catch a freak injury, because then it's going to be even more difficult with the situation that we are in. Tom, what are your thoughts?
I think the the defensive line and personnel they're decent. I think when you have Balde, when you have Inigo, Kubarsi, and Kunde, add Araujo to that, and do have a kind of a decent lineup there. My issue today is the same issue that we had against Monaco, and same issue that we had against Valencia. Is the defensive system that's kind of it's flawed, right? It's very much flawed, and the teams can utilize a very similar approach. Well, those teams have used a very similar approach. Hoof a long ball into the runners behind the fullbacks, and you will find space there to exploit. Now, when you have a Jeremy Pino, when you have a Pepe, when you have, and then you have Parejo and you have Baena deep, you have the perfect setup to exploit exactly that flow that Barca had. And then if our counter press is not immaculate, if the timing is not immaculate, those balls will always hurt you. So unless you can tackle that ball before it leaves Parejo's foot or it leaves Baena's foot, you are in serious danger. And that's what kept happening, because we just kept getting carved open with just a single, long pass through the lines or the lines. It didn't really matter. But once that isolation is created, you are in a world of hurt, right? And we did well with our offside lines, like that was good. I'm not sure if all of that was planned or was just a mistake by Villarreal, but we did catch them offside quite a number of times, and with 2 goals, I think, was it, right? Yeah, the traps. Sorry, no, the offside traps were amazing. Yeah, Steve. So I feel like this needs to be addressed, because better teams will rip us open, because it's always the same pressing structure, more or less the same. We did see some adaptation against Girona, for example, where Flick kind of moved Lewandowski higher up into a different structure off the ball. But other than that, it was always the same, with 2 midfielder and Lewandowski deep on the pivots, and then the wingers go narrow. But if the wingers go narrow, the fullbacks are free, which means that your fullbacks need to push higher as well to compensate for that. But if they push higher, then that means the wingers behind their backs are free. And to combat that, you need to push your center backs wider. If you push your center backs wider, there's space, obviously, in the half spaces or down the middle. So it's a domino effect. And since you are out of possession, you are pushing forward, the opposition has a man extra with the goalkeeper in possession, right? So it's difficult. You can't man mark effectively that way. And if Barca don't counter press immaculately and win the ball high up, if that ball leaves the foot of the defenders and finds the target, it's game over against bigger teams, better teams than Villarreal. Villarreal have been very efficient this season in La Liga. We've been kind of lucky, I wouldn't say, as well in this game. We were kind of lucky because, a team with more quality, with more clinical quality, lethality,
they would have buried us in the first half.
Yeah, they could have buried us. They could have. I don't want to be negative when we win 5-1,
but it is.
But this performance was not a 5-1 win. I don't think it was a 5-1 win just based on performances of both teams, and I think that's kind of fair to say, despite the victory. And again, this game we absolutely lose last season, and that's props to Flick, because that's all on him. However, it's not a complete performance. It's not a perfect performance by any stretch of the imagination. So
This
that
team
needs to
needs
be
a
improved.
lot work to really play in the way Flick wants them to play, and for that defensive line to do what Flick does. We don't
Hmm.
have the physical players that he needs. We don't have an Alfonso Davies. We don't have an Alaba. We don't have
Hmm.
those players, and he needs those kind of players for his
Hmm.
defense to do the job.
Hmm.
And right now, we're nowhere close to that. It's a miracle that it is going. It is somehow working out. But
Hmm.
to your point, like, yes, it is not the best defense in the world. It's shaky. It's not got the experience that is required. It's not got the physicality of the legs that are required. But somehow
Hmm.
it's working. And in Champions League, it won't be easy. Champions League, it will be harder than La Liga, and
Yeah.
we already saw that in Monaco. It wasn't
Hmm.
easy at all. So it's not going to be. It's just going to be structured, but you can't blame him, right? It is a completely restructured line, right? There's nobody that he can count on. All the first team like defenders are completely out of action, so he's doing the best that he can under the given circumstances with no real investment, to fix that problem right now, and that's going to stay like that for a while. So we better get used to it and hope and pray that that continues us through this season until we have the ability in the winter or later next year to actually address that by bringing the right kind of profiles that Flick needs for his defense to perform in the way that he wants them to perform in. All right.
Hmm.
Okay. So let's keep going. What are the other things that wanted to talk about a little bit about Gerard Martin? As a question from somebody here. What does Flick see in him? Honestly, I don't know what Flick sees in him.
Yeah.
Uh, why is he taken as Balde's backup? I think what Flick has done, I think he has seen everything that is available. And based on
Hmm.
that, he has made a judgment that of everything that is available, this is the best that I have. I'm going to go with that because I need somebody to rotate at times. And today he rotated Balde out because he needs him in the other games. So I think that's just about it for the moment. I haven't yet seen something incredible from Gerard Martin that makes me feel like, okay, yeah, this is a long term, you know, gym that we have. Dom, what's your thought?
Somewhat the same. I've not really. I don't know what makes him so special just yet. Is he the profile that Flick so desperately needs in his team? I mean, with the absence of our other fullbacks, I don't think so. Maybe there is something. There is something in that, but as a whole, on the surface, I don't see any attributes, any clear attributes from him that should propel him ahead of other players, right? I don't see that special gene, let's call it that way, that should kind of put him ahead. Maybe he sees him as someone who can duel quite well, which to a certain extent is true, I guess. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that he's some sort of a immaculate dueler either. So it's kind of perplexing. I don't think he will be much more than a squad player. And when we do hopefully get more depth, I don't think that he will be near those two first starting positions. At least at this moment, I don't think that his ceiling goes beyond that. But even with him, for example, in the lineup, and even with more rotation in the lineup, straight after a loss, you could see the repeatability of Flick's system. That's what I like, because these players kind of play the same way regardless of the personnel, and it's working. They still getting the wins. So that kind of tells you how that system has a big importance, because it's still empowering those players. Even though they have been rotated and the quality has dropped, the system is still intact and is giving us results. So even with those kind of players in the team, I'm still confident and still expecting goals from Barcelona, still expecting good play from Barcelona. Now defensively, it's at least a little bit of a different story, but at least we have weathered the storm this time around. But we'll see what happens next. Yeah.
I'll just take on a point here that what do people expect? We don't expect. That's the point, guys.
Mm,
We're saying the same thing, right? We are rotated. We don't have the right players, and you can't blame Flick. But the problem is, this problem is not going to go away in the next game. It's going to stay,
yeah.
right? In the next game that we go out, it's not that Araujo is coming back. It's not. He's not coming back till December. So we've got 3 months to go in and a lot of games to play. And we will go through this again and again and again. Correct? Is that Flick's fault? No, it isn't. Is it Barca's fault? No, it isn't. But the fact is, it is going to be like that for a while. And we have to, if we have to be competitive, we have to win with that. We have to accept it, and we've got to win with that. So we're not saying that, that we expected something different. Yes, it was rotated, but it was rotated because we have no other options. And we don't have any options because of the state that we are in. We all know that. We don't have the money. We don't have the signings. We don't have the capacity. We don't have the right players. Unfortunately, none of that is going to change tomorrow. It's going to stay the same. So if we've got to live with that, we've got to accept that within the structure and say, okay, this is the reality. And in this reality, there are some things that are good and some things that are bad. And we just got to hope and pray and be happy if things go well. That's just what we are talking about. All right. Let's go into the next one. Balde is not offensive. Balde cannot cross. Gerard is just slower than Balde. Yes, maybe, probably. As we said, like, we haven't seen anything amazing. I at least haven't. I may be wrong. Maybe he's doing something amazing in the training session, because of which Flick likes him. Today he did his job, I would say, to the extent that is possible. We did not have to use Balde at all, and I think Flick wanted to save him up for the next games that is there, and so on. And
it's
yes,
good. It's good.
100%. Barca made a lot of. We have written extensively about it. For 10 years, Barca has been at fault. Wrong precedents, wrong signings. But now what do? Do you blame them every day? That's not going to help, right? That's not going to get new players in, right? Yes, it is Barca's fault, 100%, right? We can blame them as much as we want, but that's the reality. That's the reality that Flick has taken. And what I like about him is that he doesn't make those excuses. He says that, yes, this is what I've got. I'm going to go and play with this one. I'm not going to say I don't have this and I don't have that, and this is the reason, and why should people expect more from me? His point is that this is what I have. I have to try and win within this, and that's what he's trying. And that's what we most should be looking at, right? So,
But it's impressive, because you look at a team that lost to Monaco, and then Flick just goes and rotates half the defensive line,
out, yeah.
and he goes and he wins the game against Villarreal 5-1. That, I mean, he has some balls. That guy has balls. I'm just gonna excuse my French, but that's just the way it is. Flick is, I mean, you have to commend that kind of work. Of course, this could have been easily an entirely different conversation that we would be having. Had a couple of those goals from Villarreal actually gone in and not been offside, we would be here and say, "Oh, why did he
change his strategy? Why was he still keeping a high line? Why did he push forward? Football is like that."
Exactly.
But fine line between so it is right, and it's okay, and we are all happy, right? And when Araujo comes back, and when Gavi comes back, and when Fermin comes back, and when everybody comes back, and Daniel goes back, and we have the fully stacked team, and when we buy a couple of more players in December, we're going to be in a great place, and I'll be the happiest person on the planet. But we are not there right now, and we won't be there for the next 3 months, right? So conjecturing about that is not going to help us. This is the team that we have. We got to rotate within it, because the games are coming thick and fast. And I mean, we just have to, some will win, some will not be that good. And that's what it is. It's okay, right? When it comes to the league, if he can keep winning, I think it's better. Champions League, I'm not so much worried about, because I don't even know how many points it requires. And we have so much time, right? Some people are saying 16, some people are saying 20. Don't know. Yeah. I think Atlanta is going to be hard. I think Bayern is going to be hard. I think Dortmund is going to be hard. But the rest may be winnable. Maybe. We don't know. And if we do that, and we still don't make it within the first 8, we still have the playoffs by that time. Hopefully, we'll have players back. Hopefully, we'll play better. So we don't know. So in Champions League, we have time. League, we have to keep up. Otherwise, once Madrid get a 6-point or an 8-point gap, it's hard to catch up with them, and so on, with the team that they have. So hopefully we'll be able to keep going on that. Now, some of the other questions that came through was, let's go to the next one.
Right. Maybe Casado, or maybe, So Casado reminds me of Kimmich a lot. Great energy, reliable possession, no need to get...
Yeah, why don't we talk about Casado?
Yeah. See, I love Casado, and I think if given the choice between Casado and Eric in midfield, I would still go for Casado. The only downside of Casado is his body. That's the only thing. If you guys read our analysis on the blog, which profile them as such. He has the brain, he has the motivation, he has the mentality, he has the technical quality. Casado is a monster of a player. He's a box to box, deep lying playmaker. He's everything. Right? He can be whatever you need him to be, but his body kind of lets him down. He's not there. It's the similar thing with Pablo Torre, where just they're not athletes, right? They're not athletes yet, or they might never be, depending on the
But I
genes and
still
how they
think Casado has a
grow.
higher ceiling than
Yeah,
Pablo Torre.
could be. Yeah, could potentially be. I mean, Casado had an incredible last season with the Barca Athletic. He's insane. So he is very much a player I admire, and I don't want to. He's a dog off the ball as well. He just keeps running at you. He keeps biting, and he doesn't stop. Right. So in a confined space, he will be your best counter pressing tool. And I feel like Barca needs that, right? Because if our counter press is not good enough, we suffer a lot. So we have to be immaculate in that. And Casado brings that today. Due to Eric's and Pablo Torres kind of shaky positioning and not really reading the game, not knowing where to go, when to go, how to press, and when to press, Pedri had to do a lot more work as well. And Pedri was quite sloppy tracking back because he just couldn't keep up. He
Yes.
couldn't keep, yeah, he had to jog back because he was just gassed out. And you should not be putting Pedri in that situation. That's not how you use Pedri, right? But he had to, because he had to compensate for some of the flaws of his other teammates. And some of that is also synergy, or the lack of synergy, because this midfield is kind of reshuffled. It's kind of new. They don't really know how they should be moving together and all that stuff. But that said, when you have Casado and Pedri, that looks much calmer. I would much rather have Casado next to Pedri than Eric, and obviously I would have all more ahead of them. That's So it's
And the
tough.
most important thing, guys, like, let's think about it. Like, we've been talking about that six and this pivot role for, I don't know, 5 years, right? From the time Busquets' decline started, and Busquets plays for a long time. The fact that Busquets went away, we had idea of Gerard Martin for 3 games, and we were super excited. And before we got used to that idea, that also went away. And the fact that things are still running, and Castro's actually taking that role on and doing it very quietly, very to the best possible way that he can. I think that's a blessing in disguise. We should just be happy that we have somebody like him, and hopefully he can continue till the end of the season. What's his ceiling? What can he be? No one knows. Whether Paupering comes up, and there's a lot of discussion about Paupering as well right now going in. We should just consider ourselves lucky that we have 3 players like Mark Banal, Casado, and Paupering out there who can be that pivot if needed, given our financial situation, which is not going to be amazing anytime soon. So hopefully that just continues, and he can continue giving these performances that he has given throughout the last game, because he does provide a level of calmness in all the chaos that's around. Okay, there are 2 questions here. Where does his ACL injury to Ter Stegen reshuffle the signing priority for next summer? I think somebody said, I think finally it was Yusuf who said, like, they're going to deregister
Ter Stegen.
Ter Stegen and use his salary cap. I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's that's pretty much the Barca way of playing. I think if that's what the truth, I think that's what they're going to do. And if that's what they're going to do, they're going to bring in somebody pretty earlier than next summer. I think that's what will happen.
January. It's
I don't
either
think
January or maybe even
summer for this, because that's going to be a hard one, right? That's what I think. And the other one is, given Hansi Flick results, do you think Laporta will have him continue, or will he step over him, or going Shumbo is tiny like chicken claw? This is a tough one, though.
That's too soon
It's
to
a
say.
very
Too
tough
soon to
one.
say.
I hope, and I'll take Dom's point of view on this, but Laporta is known for going for shiny objects. And yes, there's an election coming, so you never know. But I hope he doesn't. I hope he lets Hansi Flick do his job for a little while, right or wrong. I think he's good for the kids. I think we are building something exciting, something like I would have never have thought that we, with a team like this, can go and have the results that we are having in La Liga. I would have never ever expected the lineup that he put up today. Somebody said it was ballsy, and yes, it was ballsy. I never thought that would be the lineup that he would go up with for this game, but he did. Right. So, and we will find, negatives with every coach. Xavi had negatives, and Flick has negatives, and so on. But I think you need to give these coaches a couple of years, 3 years on the job to literally build the project that they are building. Now, this guy came at a time when probably not many coaches would have come. He has taken what has been given to him without any complaints. We have never heard him complain once, right? And he's giving us a lot of joy, just like Xavi gave a lot of joy in his first season. That's basically what we're saying with Flick as well. So I hope he gets the opportunity to stay for a while. That said, Laporta, anything is possible. Yes, it's an election year. If things go well and he wants to make a statement, and if Jurgen Klopp is interested and he wants to, put a stamp out there and he wants to do something, he will do it. He's not going to listen
Yeah.
to me or Dom for sure. But Dom, open to your thoughts.
Basically the same. I just think it's far too early to say. We're 6 games in, and yes, 6 wins out of 6. That's insane. That is. I'm not sure when was the last time Barca had such a successful start of the season, but that said, it's only a start, right? So if he keeps this up and we actually win something, because he will have to win something to earn his stay, because Laporta, as I said, Laporta will want to get the shiny toy, and he will probably get the shiny toy in the form of a player. But then if his coach doesn't win anything, that it's possible that he will try and get 2 shiny toys, one the coach, one a player as well. So it's possible that he replaces him with, I don't know, a Klopp, as people have been mentioning. But if he earns that, if he keeps this up, if this winning streak and this style of play and this just the way, the confidence that we have, the hunger, if that's sustainable, then I think that warrants at least another season, because it would be kind of unfair to bring in Hansi Flick, who is an established coach because he has won everything in football, right? And then give him just one season and then, okay, off you go. Now we're gonna get someone else. It is kind of unfair, because to build a proper project, it takes time, right? And it's difficult to do that in one season. And if you already know, as Hansi Flick, if you know that you're going to stay only for one season, it kind of messes with your head as well. So you have to be all in on this, especially at Barca Vol Club. You have to be all in, and you have to be planning and building for the future as well as the present. And I think that if Flick keeps this up, he needs to be given at least a bit more time, because if it works, why change it? So yes, I would say for now, too early to say. However, if it keeps up, then absolutely, I would give Hansi Flick another
Yeah,
season.
because you never know. Everything in FC Barcelona is how the season ends. We are just at the beginning of the season, right? So by the end of the season, so many things would have changed by then. We never know. So with Laporta, that you have to keep that in mind. But for now, I'm so glad that Hansi Flick is there. At least it looks like a team that has an idea of what it needs to do, which was such a problem the last 2 years. Xavi is a great man, and he did a lot of good things, and he totally deserves a lot of credit for all the youngsters that are playing today. But the team just didn't have an idea of how to play. At least they have an idea of what to do. Yes, it's still chaotic. Yes, all the problems that everybody's talked about is there. But I'm so glad that Hansi Flick is there at this moment, doing what he's doing right now. So, all right. Somebody, let's take 2 more questions before we pass it out, or just talk about the stuff that. Yes, somebody said, man, we are broke. Jonathan said we are broke and we are literally 3 signings away from being pretty much. Yeah, probably yes. We are a few signings away from being a very set team. And I think the core needs to be built. And that's what is happening right now. The core is built and we have a stable set of 4 or 5 players whom we can always count on. The defense, the midfield, the pivots, if they are set up, and then you add a couple of real good strikers up front or wingers, you're pretty much set for a couple of years. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And hopefully that will happen. Hopefully with all the money and the Nike deal or whatever that we sign, we'll get to that place. Hopefully that happens. But let's take a couple of moments into just finishing with the game in itself. I think outstanding results, Dom, given the situation. We didn't really think it would happen that way, and that sets them up pretty well. Next up is Getafe on the road. What do you think about that, Dom?
We
Because
know what to
Getafe is not going
expect.
to play clean. Let's
I
just be
know.
honest about
Yeah,
that.
we
That's
know
what
what to expect. We know what to expect, but the thing is, they are not in good form right now. They're not in good shape. So I'm hoping that we can get the result, despite their all dark magic and dirty tricks and everything that they do relentlessly, and they do it quite well. To be fair to them, they know what they're good at. They know how to use their tricks. I call them tricks, but it's part of what they do. It's part of their play style, it's part of their culture. So you can't fault them. And they might find our way of playing football repulsive, as the same way that we find some of us find their way repulsive. But yeah, that if it works, there's no way to change it. But so far, it hasn't really been working for Getafe. Where are they on the table? They are quite low, aren't they? If I'm not mistaken, let me just check the table real quick. Yeah, they're 18th at the moment. So um, not really a good season so far for them. So I'm hoping we can get the result, and I'm hoping we can rotate some of the players. I have seen some comments here on Lamine. Yes, he would ideally he would be taken off. It's 4-1. Just take him off. Give him,
Right. Getafe is at home.
stay.
Sorry, Bandy. You're right. They'll
Yeah,
be playing at
it is.
Luis Company. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it is.
uh,
It is at home. Even more reason to kind of maybe rotate a little bit, because do
I
we
think we'll
really
have to.
want? Yeah, we'll have to. The thing with Lamine and playing and not playing is, how do you take such a player off when he's obviously enjoying his football? He's playing the best football of his career. People want to see him. People that are out there in the stadiums, they want to see him. But when you see those tackles on him, and when you see that the game is done and dusted, I mean, he should be coming off. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And
And
now
this
we
is
go.
this is only going to increase. This is not going to go
Yes,
down because he's
it's a
clearly making the difference for the team, and
yeah.
every team out there notices that. Like that pass he made for Rafinha today. I mean, how many
Yeah,
players in the world can do that on the run, outside of your boot, left foot, swings right
yeah.
on.
It looks like a Modric pass, and that's saying
Yeah, it was
something. Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
Mm,
insane for a
mm,
16, 17-year-old kid to do that, and teams are watching,
mm,
and it is going to increase now. Yes, there is a responsibility for safeguarding these kind of players. Of course, there's a
mhm.
responsibility on the league, but how much will it be adhered to? We don't know. Probably there will be discussions around that. Hey, we should give kids like this protection because you need these players in football. You really, really need these players in football, not just for Barcelona, anywhere, any team. If they have players like
Mhm,
this, they need to be protected for sure.
mhm.
So hopefully those discussions are happening. Will Flick make Lamine sit down? I don't see that happening. I don't think any coach is going to make him sit down. It's just he's got to ride his luck on that one. Hopefully nothing happens because those challenges are going to get nastier. I mean,
Mhm.
we saw some of them today, but they're just going to get nastier.
Yeah.
Now, how you mitigate that, what kind of protection you give him, is something that needs to be absolutely discussed, and whether he can be subbed off when he's not needed anymore. Like at 5-1, was he needed? Probably not, but he was still on the
Mhm,
pitch, right?
mhm.
So yeah, you could argue that, okay, yes, maybe Ansu Fati could have played the last at 8 minutes or whatever. Yeah, so yeah, those things are possible, absolutely, and that needs to be talked about. But yeah, that's not going away, guys. That's just going to increase, much as we hate it, because he is clearly the difference maker of this team, and
Yeah.
that's not going to change for a while.
Yeah, and it's a testament to his ability, because the moment that those players start kicking you and targeting you like that, you know that you're actually something different. You're just different gravy. You're getting the Neymar and Messi treatment, and that's saying a lot, right? So that's. But at the same time, fans of other teams respect him a lot. It's not like he comes to away stadiums and they boo him and they want him injured. No, it's nothing like that. Every other rival team respects Lamine Yamal because he's a kid and he's the best player in the world in his position, right? So when has that happened, right? So it's a testament to who he is as a person, as a player, and I think that's beautiful in one way. But then of course that comes with a lot of negatives, which is in the form of those tackles, because they may not be doing it on purpose. It's just the way that they take possession off someone like Lamine, right? Because you can't get the ball away from him. You have to go for the legs. As cruel as that sounds, that's the only way sometimes to take him down. And that's been happening to Messi for years and to Neymar for years, because players just don't know how to deal with such players, right? And their instinct is, okay, I have to take him down before he does more damage. And it's not nice. It's definitely not right for a 17-year-old to be experiencing that. But at the same time, those teams will keep doing it, because that's the only weapon, only tool they have against them. Apart from just setting 2 or 3 players there. But then if you have 3 players in one area of the pitch, that means that those players are not somewhere else. That means there's more space somewhere else. And Barca do have a Pedri and a Lewandowski and a Rafinha or Olmo when he comes back. So it's always something that you have to give to Barca because of Lamine, because he creates so much on his own, just his presence alone, his gravity, right? So
All right, we
that's
talked
yeah.
about Lamine. A touch for Lewandowski, amazing. Made really the difference in those opening stages where Villarreal had all the initiative and were literally in ascendancy. I think those 2 goals really did a lot to swing the initiative back our way, and he played really well. Missed the penalty, but it was a good shot. It was I like it. Yeah, it was a good shot. It was just bad luck that they didn't convert. He could have had a hat trick today. And a shout out to Rafinha as well. A couple of really good goals at the end, and his role as a captain. I think he's enjoying that. Somebody said this, right? He's enjoying that. He's enjoying being the captain, being the voice, talking, standing up for the players, standing up for the team, and so on. So hopefully that continues as well. So yeah, overall, I think great performance. Given the context, this was not a 5-1 win, but we won 5-1. So we should take it absolutely super happy. Get ready for Prime Borderlands Ball, which is never, ever disappointing. That's going to happen. And then we've got some Champions League games coming up as well. So we should look
We do.
forward to that. The games are coming thick and fast. Hopefully, we don't know what exactly and how long, but hopefully Ter Stegen gets better and however long it takes and so on. And I'm sure the news in the next few days will be about this goalkeeping replacement. So we'll get a lot of news about that coming out. So hopefully that's going to happen. And looking forward to Fermin coming back as soon as possible. And yeah, Visca El Barca. And thank you for everybody who has joined. I enjoyed that game. That was so chaotic from minute 1 to minute
It was
crazy.
And thanks for we got more than 100 comments today, Dev, which is guys, it's amazing.
This
Thank
is
you so much.
outstanding, guys. So thank
Yeah,
you
keep
so
in
much.
common.
It means
Yeah.
because we are also learning in the process with you, and we will do a session where we can get all of you on camera as well. I think because it just makes sense, because it's not that we understand more than any of you do. It's not the case at all. We're just fans of the game, just like you are. So we'll look for how we can set that up and invite all of you so that we can all have this joint party online about talking about a game on the game. And so looking forward to that. And thank you very much for joining. Appreciate it. Please check out all the other stuff that we are doing. We'll come out with a review of this game in a couple of days probably. And with that, Visca El Barca, and stay safe. Take care, guys.